So they brought me to churches me as a kid. They wouldn't trust me with giving more than like $600 a month. Never was really included in the whole thing. So like this is like reached the end of my life. And this is when pretty much God put the reason. I was so f***ing done. When my parents went first. So actually, I was this.
A wealthy California family gunned down in their beds. Their young son shot and wounded.
A husband and wife killed in their beds.
On the night of February 9th, 2014, in a massive San Juan Capistrano mansion in Orange County, California, millionaire real estate moguls Brad and Andra Sachs were sleeping peacefully when they were met with an unknown, armed intruder. The mystery killer shot Brad and Andra a mind-boggling 15 times in the face, which almost seems personal. He or she had no remorse for the rest of the family either, as the youngest Sachs son, 8-year-old Landon, was shot and paralyzed in the process. The couple's older sons, Miles and Ashton, were outside the home at the time. The younger sisters, 17-year-old Alexis and 15-year-old Lana, survived the attack, but they had to suffer the emotional and psychological damage until Orange County police officers arrived on the scene.
There were a total of 5 people in the residence at the time of the crime. There was a teenage sibling who had not been shot at all. The other 2 siblings appeared to be targeted by the suspect.
However, the seemingly personal motive of the crime remained mysterious, which prompted investigators to consider other suspects.
Everybody is open for consideration. You can't immediately eliminate family members. We had to get a search warrant to search the cell phone records of every member of the family who had a cell phone, including the 2 older boys, the 2 teenage girls, and Brad and Andra.
These cell phone records eventually led to this young man in the interrogation seat. He was conveniently present around the scene of the crime during the time of the murder, but his identity would later shock everyone.
Around 2 a.m. I drove up to the house. I didn't know what I was doing. I was thinking it's going and kind of crazy.
But whether or not he deserved to be in that seat, there were a number of crazy clues that led to that moment first. The case was as conflicting as it can be, until surveillance footage revealed the tip of the thread that would unravel everything down the line.
Approximately 30 minutes before the 911 call, a vehicle was seen traveling down Peppertree Bend in the direction of the cul-de-sac. There were no other cars in the neighborhood for any appreciable time before or after the murder.
The car found around the Sachs house at the time of the murder was a white Toyota Prius, but running the license plate numbers led to a shocking revelation about the owner. The car belonged to none other than Andra and Brad Sachs' 19-year-old son, Ashton Sachs. Just like his parents, Ashton was an honor student who had a lot of potential, but apparently he had fallen on hard times and spent most of his time playing video games and smoking weed. What didn't make sense, however, was that Ashton was supposed to be in college in Seattle, an 18-hour drive away. Still, the suspicion was enough for investigators to check cell phone records, which revealed he had taken a trip from Seattle to Orange County, California, on the day of the murder. It felt unbelievable to consider the Sachs' own son as a suspect, but once officers tracked down his vehicle and searched it, they found harrowing evidence. Inside Ashton's car, there was a .22 caliber semi-automatic Ruhr rifle. A ballistics expert testified at a grand jury, hearing that the bullets recovered from the mansion had been fired from that weapon. Even crazier, a search through Ashton's laptop revealed that he was browsing Wikipedia articles on murder degrees and the insanity defense. Now that we've caught up to what brought Ashton into that interrogation seat, things only got more disturbing.
I'm just, not myself. I don't know why I was something. I wasn't like the old, I wasn't normal.
Right from the get-go, it seemed Ashton was uncomfortable and exhibiting severe antisocial behavior. Given that Ashton was clearly a troubled teenager, investigators took the necessary precautions by trying to be as nice as possible, an effective strategy when dealing with mentally ill suspects.
A lot of pain? Okay. Ashton, as you know, we're investigating the death of your parents. Okay? And we've spoken to you at your house, and we'd like to continue that conversation. But before we do that, I want to read you your rights, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand? Say yeah. Yes or no. Ashton, right now is your opportunity to clear up some facts about this case and investigation. In our opinion, it's not a whodunit anymore. Okay? And we have your car, we have the weapon. We know you were in Orange County at the time of the murders. And really, we want to know why. I mean, at least think about your family. And think about little Landon. I mean, do you think he deserves that? Deserves at least some sort of answers that we can give him?
At that point, Ashton was no longer just a name on the possible suspects list. The evidence found in his car and surveillance footage made him the prime suspect, but it was clear this was not going to be an easy interrogation.
I know it's hard, man. It really is. Okay, this can't be easy to talk about. I've been doing this for 20 years. I understand. It's not easy. But now is your time to clear up this. Get your side of the story. And give a reason on why. And think about your little brother.
I don't even know the reason why. There's a lot of the problem.
Ashton's voice alone indicated that something was definitely off. What was going through investigators' minds is that if Ashton was truly the killer, what would drive a rich teenager from a seemingly perfect family to brutally murder his own parents like that?
I don't know, it really just kind of fucked up my whole life. Like, when I was 15 years old, I'm sure you guys already know, I was a bullied a lot, and I took a very large knife with me to school. I didn't do anything, I was caught with it. I had a lot of recently, I stopped going to school a while ago. I stopped leaving the house for a while. I didn't do anything or go anywhere. I just sat around.
How'd that make you feel?
Video games, smoke, Like, I didn't even want to be alive anymore. I tried killing myself many times.
It seems Ashton had a lot of trauma from a younger age, and it's not uncommon for deeply suicidal individuals to instead take out their pain on someone else. But the question remained, why his own flesh and blood?
You see, you're going through a lot of pain, man. And that sucks. But I'm proud for you for talking about these issues you're dealing with, man. I really am. Okay. All right, buddy. You're doing good, man. Did your mom find out about you dropping out of college and confront you?
I was still in school. I just didn't want to drop out. I couldn't just stop going and give up.
And by doing that, how'd that make you feel?
I couldn't accomplish anything. I was just like, I'm just useless.
What's that?
I felt like I was just useless.
And this recently, when did this start? This
I
feeling?
always had issues with just feeling like I can't do too much in life, and I kind of had a lot of talents, but I just couldn't myself.
Ashton clearly had deep-rooted insecurities regarding his own self-worth and value, and feeling useless, as he mentioned, can be a tragic byproduct of a comfortable, wealthy upbringing.
How are you feeling that weekend of this incident?
Not even myself. I don't even know. I haven't slept in like 4 or 5 days. It was like 10 all sorts of weird, stupid. I just drove straight down. I didn't even really stop to go to the bathroom a lot of times. I kind of just like peed in the car.
Okay.
I don't even know. I'm just going through my head. I can't even tell you. I know outside it's like this rush and like, yeah. It's felt like this is like towards the end of my life. And it's just gonna pretty much do this and kill myself.
Okay, so you drove down on that Saturday, which would be the 8th, the day before, is what you're saying. And when you came down from Washington into Orange County, what did you do? Tell me about that. And what was going through your mind?
Ashton was clearly not being secretive about his psyche and his motivations, something first-time interviewees rarely do. More than anything, it looked as if he was willing to tell investigators exactly what they needed to know, just so that someone would listen to him.
I parked my car probably at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Parked my car and I parked the lot down my parents' shop inside of my car and just kind of almost fell asleep, but it was just, I don't even remember, it was all kind of, like, it's all kind of very sudden, like, I just
You're doing good, man. I know a lot has obviously gone through your mind, especially on that day. After sitting in your car, then what happened?
around 2 a.m. I drove up to the house. I didn't even know what I was doing, everything that's going in. I kind of went crazy. Like some rush. After I darted out and came back, I flew to the airport and flew out and just was planning on killing myself.
When you're describing this rush, and you're saying you drove up to your parents' house on Pepper Tree Bend, correct? When you're describing this rush, what do you mean by the rush?
I don't know how to describe it. It was just, my heart was beating really fast. I wasn't like normal. I wasn't normal at all. Something was seriously wrong. I just went up and I don't know, I just had this feeling like
And what weapon did you have with you?
God,
It was obvious that Ashton's main intention was to send a message to his parents for reasons we'll discover later, but in his mind, that message was to be in the form of suicide in their own home when they thought he would be over 900 miles away. But given that Ashton is still alive, clearly his message took a twisted turn.
The same gun that we found in your car? And how did you get in to the house?
the side.
Are you talking about the side by the horse trail and there's a side gate? Or just the side of the house?
The sewer thing over the wall.
Over the wall? When you enter that house, what did you see? And what did you hear?
It was silent. I walked around for probably 10-15 minutes.
Okay.
I was on upstairs. I was there for 15 minutes before I did anything, and then once I was very close and just to not do anything and treat myself in the house.
Okay.
But I did.
And what changed your mind?
At this point, it was no longer just a confession of a murderer, but more the outpouring of consciousness of someone who desperately needed help.
I know you're doing good, bud. You really are. I'm proud of you. When you were upstairs, though, explain to me what you did first.
Upstairs, I under going to be there for 10-15 minutes. When the parents went first.
Okay. And you said you shot at them? Were they up? Awake? And how many times did you... Did you see the bullets strike your parents? It was dark. Where were your parents in the room? And you saw your parents in the bed? And once you saw them in the bed, then what?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I just walked up and started shooting.
Okay. In which direction? At them? And then what did you do?
I just left the room, ran out, walked past the landing, shot towards him. I didn't know this room was shot towards him. His bed. I just ran downstairs to Lexi's room, shot at her once, then ran.
Okay, and then after you took off, then what did you do?
Back down to the shop, left my car, got a cab to there.
And what did you do with the gun?
I left it in the back of my car.
All the loose ends were suddenly tied up, but it's interesting to note that Ashton not going with the initial plan of committing suicide following his parents' murder could reveal a twisted satisfaction that ended his longing for death. He was so focused, in fact, that he took a taxi to John Wayne Airport to fly back to Seattle. But the question remained, why?
To when you're inside the house and you go into your parents' room, tell me what's going through your mind as you're shooting at them.
I can remember I just had a rush. Some rush of I was just like not myself. I don't know, I was something just I don't know how to describe it.
And then you say you shot towards Landon. Do you remember how many times? Twice? Did you see the bullets hit him? Did you go inside Lana's room? Was there a reason for that? And how about Alexis? You're saying you fired one shot. Tell me about that. How that came about.
I just ran down there and did. I don't know why.
You're saying you just ran down there and did it, but you don't know why? Did you see where she was in the room when you fired the shot?
I went into her bed.
So you saw her in her bed? And what were you pointing at? You were pointing at her? On that Saturday, February 8th, to Orange County.
I started thinking a lot and thought that the reason I was so f***ed up was because of my parents.
So if I'm reading this right, you're blaming your parents for you being quote unquote f***ed up. I want to know a little bit more about that. What do you mean by that? Just help me understand.
All of a sudden, investigators finally had a key to cracking Ashton's motivations, and the confessions of a hardened killer became the struggling pains of a little boy.
I spoke a lot like I was like the least favorite, and I was never really like I wasn't quite that over. I was they didn't trust me.
It's gotta feel terrible, man. I know if I felt that way, it would eat me up inside, and yeah, I can only imagine how you're feeling, because I know your family's pretty big. What did your parents do to you to make you feel that way? Can you give me some examples?
You would never trust me with like even small stuff, like anything any small amount of money. Like we would go to the store and buy stuff, and they would never let me on anything. They would buy always. They would give me like they wouldn't trust me with giving me more than like $600 a month. All sorts of small stuff. They never thought they trust me. I would really love me that much. I never was really included in anything.
How did that make you feel? What's that? Horrible. How did it make you feel towards them? Did you start resenting them? Did you get angry?
Kind of, not really mean it, but I resent them. I really don't know if it's make me feel horrible about myself. Crap.
Did something happen recently? Meaning a few days prior to when you went inside your parents' house?
Not really. My mom got mad at me for not calling my dad. I was talking to him ever, and I told her he never called me. He never did. Also, that he never called to talk to me or anything.
And when was that she got mad at you?
Probably 5 or 6 days before.
A child's feeling of neglect and lack of love usually stays with them forever, and in Ashton's case, it turned to blind, murderous rage. A closer examination could also reveal his specific targeting of his little brother, Landon, who was likely getting the most care and affection from the Sacks.
So describe your relationship with your mom, Andra, for me.
We get along. I always thought that she was like the only person in the world who really trust me, she can't let me. But all the times I felt like she did. That's why I felt like I care and give a crap about me. I'm also the next thing, she was the next thing. I knew she was necessarily good to me. Next thing, all the times say until she didn't trust me. And she loved me as much as she loved the other kids.
And that's how you truly felt. How about your dad?
He never really liked me. I just loved him. He didn't really like me. He would never fun. He was always mean to me and tried to exclude me from things. I was definitely really zero, no doubt. And he just didn't really like me. Ever. He's always made me feel like crap.
That's what it sounds like. And I'll be honest with you, some of the stuff I'm looking at, and I've looked at before we spoke to you, I've seen that. And sometimes I just go, wow. You know, reading stuff or hearing stories, so not that I know exactly what you're going through.
After years on the case, Ashton Sachs ultimately received 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
The defendant's a sociopath. He has no remorse. He has no empathy. All he cares about is himself.